Hello, everybody. I just want to take some time to walk through how forms work in Google Drive and also give you an example of how I used forms in Google Drive to encourage students to collect data and then analyze the data and then visualize the data. So I want to show you this because it's often difficult to share all of the functionality of a form outside of Google Drive, although you'll find that if you have Google Drive within your classrooms, and within your districts, it's pretty easy to share and collaborate within there. So let me just give you some ideas of what forms look like, and then show you what the results of forms look like, and then show you the ways that you can uh, analyze the data that actually ends up in a spreadsheet. So back in your general Google Drive application, notice that my Google Drive at this point is my school district login Google Drive. It is common for teachers to have their own Google Drive accounts, and I actually do. So it's often really important to make sure that when teachers or students are actually using Google Drive, that they're sure which one they're actually logged into. So I know when I'm in my school district one, obviously because of the logo in the upper left, but also because it actually gives me my proper email address for school in the upper right. When I'm trying to see if I'm actually outside and in my own Google Drive, I just check up here for my other Google Drive account information. In order to create a form, it's pretty simple. Click on the big red New button and then choose under More Google Forms. If you do that, you'll be given an interface that looks like this. And in this interface, this is where you actually set up the questions that you want in your forms. It is really very user-friendly. This particular form has a lot of questions in it that I wanted students to look at. And with each one, if I wanted to, for example, add some more questions, I would just go down here to Add Item. And as you can see, there are lots of different things I could actually add there. Each one of these is its own question. If I hover over it, you'll see I can edit it, I can duplicate it, or I can trash it. Another very useful thing I'd like to tell you about forms is that sometimes it's nice to get students in class to go directly to a form. That is, not going to Moodle, not going to Canvas, not going to Edmodo, but getting them right to a form. And in my class, that often means them actually using mobile phones. So what I do is I often put the bit.ly link to the form actually in the title. That also helps me kind of remember that there is a bit.ly link. To give you an idea of what that actually means, if, for example, I wanted to give this form to my students to fill out as quickly as possible, what I would do is I would go to View Live Form, and if I click that, you'll see that I actually can see the form. Then I take this URL, which directs people to the form, I copy it, I go to a shortening application like bit.ly, and I paste in that really long, ugly URL, and it shortens it to a really small, simple URL. The advantage of that, for me at least, is I can actually write that bit.ly link on the board, which means I could get students to actually go there almost immediately. So anyway, that's what that bit.ly link is all about. Notice that anytime you make a form, it connects the form to response sheet, and the response sheet is a spreadsheet. And as students fill these out, the responses fire right into that sheet. Also note, I've got a couple other form settings up here. If I was doing something that I prefer to be anonymous, I don't collect their username. If I'm doing something that I really don't want people on the outside to see, I can require the district logon and so forth. So there are many options you can set there. If I click View Responses, you'll see that I've used this form for many years. So there are lots and lots of responses here. So my question is then, if I think this is a valuable educational activity, how would students make sense of everything that you see here? Well, that's kind of the idea of the course. How do you get people to appropriately analyze the data that they collect? Well, there's a couple tricks you can do here. One of the most obvious tricks is you can go up here to form and then see that there is a link called Show Summary of Responses. If I click that, Google Drive aggregates all kinds of things and gives me examples of things that students said. So it sort of organizes the responses in a special way. You'll see that for questions where I flatly ask them to tell me some kind of text, it lists every possible option that they had said. However, if I ask them a multiple choice question, like this particular question, as you can see, I get a very useful automatic pie chart out of that. Okay, so some are more useful than others. Here's another pie chart because I asked for a multiple choice. Now, what could I possibly do with all of these? Well, there is sort of a trick you can use here too. So if I was interested in asking students to figure out, based on these results, how many different words did people have for what do you call the paper container in which you might bring home items you brought at the store? One trick you can do, just because this is a spreadsheet, is you can you can select the entire column by clicking on the letter up here at the top, and then you can go to Data, Sort Sheet by Column H, A to Z. That will actually take and sort the entire sheet based on that column A to Z. So if I click that, you'll see it takes a minute, but what it does is it alphabetically puts things together. So now it is much more possible for a student to actually count the different numbers of responses to that particular question. So at this point, that's all I really wanted to show you about forms, so you kind of understand that and so you can respond to the questions in the course. As always, please let me know if you need help with anything. Thanks.